to the Army and Navy and the battles they have won. As to America's colors, the colors have never run.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Oh, those words are so true by Jack Burton. Big Trouble in Little China. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Want to talk about the Brian Dable Rager. Want to talk about changes that may potentially be coming over to the New York Football Giants. Michael Kay yesterday reported that Brian Dable was having a rager, having a rooftop rager. And that's probably one of the reasons why the Giants got smoked by the Cowboys on Sunday. That him and the team were partying like it was 2000 or 1999, partying like rock stars. They were doing everything that you could possibly do.
Grab a brew. Don't cost nothing.
Oh, that's right, Bluto. The brew don't cost nothing. But the only problem was the story wasn't true. Turned out he had a party for a 6-year-old. And then you see Giant Twitter explode. I laughed because I heard the story, and then I saw Twitter do. I said, oh, Lord, Twitter just lost its mind. And then it comes out today that wasn't true. That it was a party for his 6-year-old. It's funny. I usually don't make reaction videos when things happen, probably till like 24 hours after. Only because of the fact that the majority of the time the stories turn out to be false. And this is just one of those times again. And Michael Kay actually came out and apologized. So to me it's a non-issue, and honestly, it would have, if it was true, yeah, it would have been bad optics. But it's the night before, and I think in anyone that has probably been around Dable, and anyone you hear the stories about Dable, he's very dedicated to his craft and his profession. This isn't a boat trip issue. It was miscommunication. It was misinformation, and again, social media just went nuts. I wasn't going to do a video today, but we had a birthday request on Sunday's live stream, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but I'm just good at that. I have Strider High RYU 120. And again, it's his birthday. His birthday's on 9/13, which is today. And again, that's Strider High RU 120. I just happy birthday, man. Hope you're having yourself a wonderful day. Hope you're having yourself a good day. Happy birthday to you. I know how high I am. Not very high, because you know what? It's the morning. But have yourself a good day, my friend. Have yourself a happy birthday. This video and this shout out is 100% for you. So Dable was talking about changes maybe coming down the pike. Changes could be happening, and change is a good thing. Change is a thing that you have to you have to look at. But the question is, though, here's the biggest question of all. How much change do you really want to make? It was one game. Yes, it was horrific. It was a blowout. It was just so wrong. But how much change can you actually make right now? And how much change should you actually look forward to? Because you're probably going to focus on the offensive line. Even though, honestly, if we want to be perfectly honest, the defensive backs have some issues. The middle of the interior line still has some issues. Linebackers still have some issues. But the offensive line is definitely the culprit. Do you take out the Glowinski? Do you go in with the Joshua Tree? Do you make wholesale changes to the right side of the line? There's always been talk about shifting Evan Neal to guard. Everyone talks about the Eric Flowers experiment and moving him over to guard. Maybe it's time to move him over to guard. I'm not ready to hit the panic button yet. I'm not. How many people hit the panic button on Andrew Thomas? Even going in early, and people forget, early in his second year, Andrew played better, but he still had issues. How many people hit the panic button and said, Mekhi Becton is better? We got to bust at Andrew Thomas. And now Andrew Thomas is probably one of the best left tackles, if not the best left tackle in the entire NFL. I'm not saying Evan Neal's going to be the best right tackle in the NFL. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you cannot just give up on someone because of the fact that they did not play well against Dallas. Dallas has an excellent defense. I think and we have two championship type defenses in our own division in both Dallas and Philadelphia. So while the line protection was porous at best, I don't think making too many changes right now going into Arizona and a game you probably should win. You're already 4.5 point favorites. The Giants are going into Arizona. That you should automatically hit the panic button. I mean, I don't see that yet. Only because if you go 2-3 games in a row where you are having these problems and the offensive line is still getting through, run through roughshod, then, I think you hit the panic button. Then you take a look and you try to maybe make wholesale changes. You maybe get rid of Bobby Johnson, even though they came over with Dable and DeShane. But if you start getting pushed around in Arizona,
My professional opinion that now is the time to panic.
then it would be time to panic. Shane and Dable, for one thing, they should be known for is their consistency and staying the course. They have a plan, they have a thought process, and they just need to move forward with it and just continuously move forward with it. Now, a lot of people are sitting there going, "Oh, we have to go out and get an offensive line help," and immediately everyone's mindset goes to Justin Pugh. And I love it because people are like, "Hey, we got to call Justin Pugh." Justin Pugh has been hurt for years. Justin Pugh had issues when he was with the Giants. He had multitudes of issues with Arizona. He wants to return. Yeah, of course he wants to. Of course he wants to return because he knows there's a need. But is he going to take a veteran minimum contract to come in and play for New York? I know he came out and said it's not about the money. But is he really going to do this? Is he really going to make that commitment to come back to New York? And is he really going to be that much of a help? And I love it because you have people posting all the stats. Well, Andrew Thomas had 3 pressures, Madison had 2, Sean Schmitz had 3, Glisky had 9, Ed Neal had 8. Yeah, because they were attacking that side of the line. So if you're going to give a statistic, make sure you put it in context. They're attacking that side of the line. That's why they have these inordinate amount of pressures. And then I love it because did we slide over a tight end? You had the bulked up Bellinger. Did we put Bellinger out on the side next to Evan Neal for some extra protection? Keep someone in the backfield. That's what we should look at too. And I talked about Dalton Risner, or Reisner. I can't remember his name. That's another one people are like, we got to go and get Dalton. Kansas City doesn't want him back. Well, not Kansas, I'm sorry. Minnesota doesn't want him back. Denver doesn't want him back. People are going to point out he only gave up 3 sacks last year, which was tied for 24th amount offensive lineman and 967 snaps. He earned an overall rating of 61.1 by Professional Football Focus. He's only allowed 10 sacks in his entire professional career, but he's so good, he's still out on the free agent market week 2. We talked about it yesterday. Another man's trash sometimes is just another man's trash. And then I'm not even going to get into the other people that are out there that people are clamoring for, because you think these people are going to come in. A lot of these guys are going to be coming off the street and immediately going to come in and be able to start for the Giants and fix the offensive line problems. I've said this before. This is why content creators and other pundits aren't head coaches, because of the fact that they are reactionary. Everything is a reaction. Everything technically is an overreaction. You don't need to overreact for 1 week's loss. You go into week 4 or 5 and you still are having these similar issues, then you can overreact. But Dable's basically saying, yeah, some changes may be coming. And he basically came out and said, said, you can't run from it, you have to own it. And that's it. That at the end of the day is what you have to do if you're a New York Giant fan. And you already got people saying that the offensive line is going to cost them the season. We don't know yet. The Giants bet on these guys. And I never really understood, and I talked about it all through training camp. You're putting a lot of faith in these guys, these offensive line guys. And I never saw it. I couldn't figure it out. I had to hear all training camp long how Lewinsky and Bredesen were they're pros, they're professionals, and you got the Joshua Tree backing them up, and Matt from Connecticut, and we got all these guys backing everybody up. It's just gonna be great. And it just reminded me going back a couple years ago where we had all these offensive linemen and we didn't draft anyone because we felt everyone we had was going to be great. And it didn't work. It didn't work out. All I'm saying is this, though. Let these guys build some continuity. And this is why I talked about preseason being so important so many times. I hate the fact that they took it down. I hate the fact that they took preseason down from 5 games to 3 games. They just took it down recently from 4 games. And I hate the fact that coaches don't play their starters for an extended period. I remember back in the 80s, I've talked about this. Week 1 of preseason, you would play your guys. Parcells would play his guys maybe like 3 series. Week 2, he would play his guys maybe a quarter and a half. Week 3, they would go in. His starters would go deep into the third quarter. And then week 4, he would have garbage time. And then same with week 5. Then you have garbage time. But they are allowing these guys to they're allowing these guys to build continuity with each other. They're allowing this. One of the things I think we should be more, you know what? One of the things that we need to be more concerned about, I think, is the rigid inflexibility of our offensive game plan. You saw the over-aggressiveness of the Dallas defense. But for some unknown reason, we didn't run the ball. I understand we got behind, but we didn't run. We stopped running the ball after that first 2 series. We stopped running the ball. Saquon Barkley was actually motoring a little bit. You stopped running the ball. You tried to find a passing attack against an onslaught, and you are shocked that it didn't work. The issue is more of the fact that you needed to go to the run. Take advantage of the over-aggressiveness. People could hate Jason Garrett and think he was a terrible offensive coordinator for the Giants, and you would be right in some regards. But one thing that he did with Daniel Jones was use his legs and speed to take advantage of over-aggressive defenses. Some of Daniel Jones' biggest runs came against like the likes of Washington, Philadelphia, and Dallas because Garrett knew these teams were going to be over-aggressive. So if they're over-aggressive and you step up into the pocket, you have a huge running lane. You have a huge open running lane. But I think there should be more concerned about the rigid inflexibility of our offensive game plan. Now, if you talk to offensive coordinators, and I've heard this before, and I heard this in Tampa, that sometimes head coaches and offensive coordinators, you have a script and your game plan is scripted out, and they stick to that script. They are some offense coordinators are very, very wary about going away from their scripted plays and how they've scripted out the game. But the problem is when something is going so dreadfully wrong, like your offensive line is getting slaughtered, you have to think of ways. And the other thing I couldn't think of, why didn't we go to a 3-step drop for Daniel Jones? Do a little 49ers. Do a little early 80s 49ers with Joe Montana. West Coast. Quick 3-step drop. Get the ball out fast. May only be a 3-4 yard game, but you're softening the defense. And you hit them with the draw. Show a little and Kafka was, remember, I love when people are like, well, Kafka's this genius. He was going to get the job at Northwestern and this and that and this, and he's the generation. People forget that a lot of people wanted to have Kafka stop calling the plays last year around week 11, 12. Because of the fact that his offensive game plan is sometimes so simplistic. The problem is I think we tried to create a passing game when we should be a run-first team. You have weak. Let's be honest. Our offensive line is weak in regards to protecting against the pass. So why would you call for plays that will go 10, 15, 20 yards down the field on a pass play instead of just going with the short passing game, which was your bread and butter last year, which took you to 9-7-1 in the playoffs? Why was the game plan just so rigidly inflexible that they couldn't do something this simple? And I don't get it. If you want to talk about a quandary from Sunday, I think to me, that's one of the biggest quandaries. How do you not change your game plan? One of the things, especially about, and if you watch, especially in the 80s and 90s and certain coaches, even going back to that, I shouldn't even say go back that far. There are certain coaches in this league that understand how to make halftime adjustments. I remember watching the Giants in the 80s and the 90s with Belichick and Ron Earhart. And things might not be going well, but they made halftime adjustments. I'd be curious if someone like Carl Banks, who's always on Twitter and always doing podcasts and stuff, if he could talk about the fact about how halftime adjustments were made back when he was playing. Because I'd be curious about that. Because I remember in college, you bring out we didn't have a whiteboard back then. You get out on the old chalkboard, and we would make adjustments for things that were working, things that weren't working, and focus on the things that were working. Now, I understand when you're down by 25 going into halftime, you're probably not going to go to a run-oriented offense, but you need to run the ball more. You got to keep the other team honest. You can't just keep having them tee off. They're just pinning their ears back and flying at you. So I would be curious to hear from someone else. Because like I said, I remember in Tampa, halftime adjustments being made and things such as that. And kind of when things didn't work, they went away from the game plan. Gruden and his coaching staff would go away from the game plan. So maybe if we make wholesale changes, maybe the wholesale changes shouldn't just be on the offensive line. It should be on how this team is preparing their team and how they're making adjustments at the end of the game. We're going to do the big live stream, of course, on Sunday Giant at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with R0B. Will we do another live stream this week? Probably not. And I might not do a video tomorrow unless another birthday comes up. So, you know what, guys? Let's just focus. Sunday should be the pendulum game. The pendulum should swing back the other way. You have to hope the Giants win like 28-17 and not like a 17-16 game that they really make a statement game, and then we kind of move on from there. Let's not hit the panic button yet. And again, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. That'd be awesome.